Caleb Daniel, welcome to the Dylan Friends podcast, my friend. It's an honour, it's a pleasure. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to be here too, and an honour.
Mate, welcome to the show. This has been a long time in the making for me. I know you probably haven't known that, but 87, 88 episodes now, I reckon at about 20, I was like, goals to get on, Caleb Daniel.
Really? Well, that's pretty special for me because
it is.
Yeah, 88 in the making, so happy days.
And some would say that, as Chris Judd would say, everything is leading up to the next moment, and this is it. Now, there's two reasons why I wanted to get you on. One, because you're my favourite player.
I appreciate it.
Is that weird?
No, not at all. I'm very honoured by that.
Thank you. Well, I feel a bit nervous. But, you are definitely my favourite player, my friend, and I love the way you go about it. Always wanted to get you on the show just to pick your brain. And eventually, the show's called Dylan Friends. So I was hoping that we could officially put that today.
I'd love to. Yeah,
Thank you.
That sounds great, mate.
Fantastic. The other reason being we have some history.
We do.
Now, I know you listen to the show. What I like to do when there is history is talk about when we first met.
Okay.
Do you mind if I
I'd love you to
tell my story
run
first?
through it.
So, 2015,
It was, yep.
you debuted for the Western Bulldogs. You were the sub. That game, I was playing. And I remember this so vividly. I remember, a young kid coming in with a helmet. That wasn't normal back then. Not that I used to wear a helmet too, so that's why it really spiked. And I had the same helmet as you.
Really? So
Yes.
it resonated a little bit.
We'll get into that later.
All right.
But just this, I was so clearly thinking, that opposition meeting that week, they're like, oh, okay, this young kid's coming in. Yep, sweet. Become a sub. So I was playing half back, so I was very into my scouting at this stage. And I remember you came on as a sub, and Chris Yarran was there as the other half back at this stage. And I remember him going, yes, I'm taking this kid because, what it's like, first gamer.
Yep.
That's an easy 30, 40 touches on this first gamer.
Especially for Chris.
Especially for Chris.
Yeah.
He was on you for about 3 minutes, and then you handed it over to me.
Yep.
After that, I think you racked up another 14 and kicked a goal in a quarter.
No, I played a half, so don't sell yourself too short.
So what I want to say is thank you, but also you sort of put the nail in my coffin that day.
I'm not sure about that. I vividly remember, actually, I was sitting on the sub, and obviously you're very amped about, potentially coming on and having a game. And one of the boys had back spasms at half time, so I did come on. But I actually vividly remember you were playing half back, but you must have been getting quite high in the contest. And I think you may have kicked a little left foot banana from the pocket, I reckon, and I was like, oh geez, that went through nicely. And I don't know, I reckon you gave it a little James Hurd over the...
I can't remember it. I don't know.
I'm
not sure if I remember that, but now you say it, I do remember it. It was pretty good. I think it was Mitch Honeychurch, and he just couldn't stay with me. But now that you bring it up, I do. Yeah, definitely do remember that.
James Hurd just over to the crowd over the top of it. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up.
No
I really
worries.
didn't think you would, but I do remember that so vividly, man. And I remember, in all honesty, we're joking around, but I remember thinking, fuck, here's this kid who's come in. I knew nothing about you at that stage, but I knew that it hadn't been an easy road to get to where you were. And I just had nothing but respect. And I was like, fuck, he's come in, he's done it the hard way. But I knew from then, I was like, I want to know this guy because he just doesn't give a fuck, sort of thing.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I reckon, you come into the system and you're probably nervous about guys that you're playing on and guys that, they're going to bash you and different things like that, but especially being a first year player and someone who's quite a fair bit shorter and smaller than a lot of players. But, I didn't quite have that in my first game. I had, you actually said, well done, congratulations on your debut, and so did Chris Yarran and stuff like that. And then was able to play okay, and we got the win, which was nice. But yeah, you just sort of, you have that highly anticipated sort of moment and week that you're going to, go out there and there's big men that are going to bash you and stuff like that. You're a 19, 18-year-old kid. So to have that sort of nice sort of feeling, it was pretty special.
So I've definitely played a role in the success in your career.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Special words.
Yeah, it's a funny point you bring up because I remember going back to that stage of debuting in AFL and you think these things and I remember my first game I played, when you're a kid, you have heroes and you're like, oh my God, this guy, I love him so much.
Yeah.
And I remember my first game I played against Geelong. I won't name the guys, but I just loved them so much. And then after I played them, I was like, why are you so mean to me,
you
man?
guys
Like
are
that was
assholes.
really that really hurt. Like
They would
I
have been
loved
a
you.
ruthless situation.
I was like, I really loved you. Like
Yeah.
I watched you like win grand finals. I supported you, and now you were like bullying me.
Yeah. I can understand that as well. And I don't think you ever want to be that player, but when you have that sort of what Geelong would have been pretty handy
You
at that
need the
stage,
arrogance,
and you need to have that sort of persona that you like. You don't give a fuck. And
Yeah,
you're cool
100%.
with just doing whatever is going to get you to win. So I suppose having that, but also being a good bloke and giving kids credit when they come up and they're playing alright or they have their first game is always a nice thing.
100%. If you go back, you look back now, is there any like guys that sort of stand out, your memories that you had looked at and then you come up and played against them and just given you, like, again, it's harmless, this banter, because it's a part of the game, it's fun, it's competitiveness, it's whatnot, but does anything stand out of guys who were slagging you early days?
I probably had Geelong as well, I suppose. It was probably one of my first 5 games, something like that, and I went to soccer ball. I vividly remember it as well. I went to soccer ball instead of picking it up and just handballing it, and I think I had a fresh airy, and James Kelly was running the other way, and he pretty much told me I was the weakest bloke to play AFL footy ever. So and that took me back, and to hear that, like he's played 300 games.
Yeah, you take it to heart.
Yeah, you can't
really
not
do.
like you're such a young kid, so naive to it all, and so I was like, whoa, wow. But and then the next year he was playing for Essendon, and he actually came up and had a chat and was being a good bloke, and it's just like that completely different sort of contrasting behaviour. But they were ruthless and so good for the time. So it was amazing to like have that. You are the weakest bloke that has ever played.
Yeah, and you actually
cop
think
that,
it.
Your verbal barrage, and then you're like, I've actually had like a few hardball gets this game.
Man, didn't you see me before? Like,
I picked the ball up in front of someone, like they were there.
Fuck.
So that's probably the one that's really stuck with me.
One haunts me. Brendan Goddard one day, and ripper guy since, like I've met him a few times, but like he was just saying some things to me that like I'd never heard before. And I was like, that's quite hurtful, Brendan. Not sure what I've done to you, but like thank you for that. But I can't talk. I literally was quite similar. Sometimes you get caught up and say some things you regret, which
of course
you would do. Mate, let's go back, I suppose. From what you've done now, as I said, mate, like it's incredible. All Australian premiership player, not even halfway through your career. And I know that sometimes when you're playing, it's hard to reflect, and even if you do that, but going back to literally as a young kid, and I don't know the story of how you got picked up. I know you were picked up in the 50s, but you'd sort of won the MVP of that carnival. Talk me through, I suppose, growing up playing footy, was the height factor something that was always there from an early age? Was it, a setback? Was it something you actually believed in and then you got over?
I suppose I probably, I was always a small kid, like growing up, from the age of 5 or 6 through to now, pretty much. So, something that you get used to and that sort of stuff. And I was never going to be blessed with being too tall. My dad's 5'7" and mum's pushing 5 foot. So, I was never going to be blessed with too much height. But I suppose it's always saying that, I suppose when you're a kid, you tend to look at stuff that you don't have rather than what you do. And I suppose, like growing up, you do sort of feel like a little bit strange. You're always the number one because that's the smallest jersey. You're always going up through the ranks and being the shortest kid. And, what if, he was 10 centimetres taller or whatnot. So, I suppose it plays a factor throughout all of your junior career and stuff like that. But I think I was lucky enough for myself being able to play a lot of footy at a younger age with men and against men, and I played sample footy when I was 16, and I got South Adelaide Footy Club to thank for that. Like they really just promoted me. I played a couple of under 18s games, and they threw me in the reserves and went okay there, and then they played me in the league, and I got a lot to thank them for, just being able to have a pre-season with men, play against men and different things like that. So I think that really held me in good stead. And I think it's a little bit unfortunate, some footy clubs, and I think in the VFL program there's a lot of AFL listed players obviously and that sort of stuff, and then there's TAC Cup, but I think as soon as you can get exposed and you can find yourself playing against men, it really helps your development coming through the ranks. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to be able to do that and play some state footy. I got picked under 12s and then under 16s, and I didn't play too much in the under 16s. We had a head coach, Daryl Hart, who was really about, big boys and big inside midfielders and that sort of stuff. And
shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out, mate. Yeah, thanks. You almost ruined my career, but no, I'm only kidding. But yeah, there was a lot of guys there that, were 6'3" at the time and 16-year-old kids, and I was probably pushing 5 foot, like tiny. But yeah, and then had that sort of setback. I only played, I think, a game and maybe a half in that carnival, and then missed out in the first trial of under 18s when I was 17, and they sort of said like, you haven't really, you're too short and whatnot, and you probably won't be able to hack it with the big guys in the under 18s who are getting drafted and things like that. So and then was able to play in my last year of under 18s, and we actually won it as South Australia, which I was pretty stoked about. And from there just sort of got drafted, and it's been a good ride since then.
So that carnival, were you MVP that carnival?
No, definitely not. I only played 3 games.
Okay.
So
in under 18s?
In the under 18s, yeah.
Right.
So I think Christian Petrarco was the MVP of that, which he deservedly was. But I actually had an ankle reconstruction sort of at the start of my draft year, which put me out for sort of 12 weeks, which is really disappointing, obviously, being a young kid going through, surgery and rehab and all that sort of stuff. And you are like really nervous about that draft year, and you want to play well. Myself, obviously, I wasn't, a top 10 pick or anything by any means. Like if I was going to go, I thought maybe the rookie draft at best, but, put your best foot forward, and to like have an injury and come back and you're not even in the top leagues yet, it's pretty sort of daunting. But like I said, for South Adelaide, I had 1 week in the reserves after I came back, and then they threw me in the league side, which I was stoked with, and then I played some state footy as well.
Do you think with that, like I've always had this sort of thought, like on reflection of my sort of career and something I've learned through just reflection, I suppose, like as a kid, I was sort of, I didn't have an easy run, but like it was just a traditional run. Like I was like, fuck, like I probably was pretty confident I'd get picked up. Like being father-son, you sort of know that there's things coming.
Yeah.
And then I got there and I just thought it was going to work out, like that, things would just happen. But I suppose like something where, I think you would have got a lot of your grit from, I'm assuming this, but it's your point, your story to tell is, do you think like those setbacks early and like people telling you no, that has sort of like forged some form of like mentality where you just can't be told no?
Yeah, I suppose so. I think there's a lot of guys that probably have not necessarily like setbacks and different things like that, but they may have, people saying no and like, why would you think that? Which I think is ridiculous and shitty to tell a kid that he can't, pursue his dream and actually make it. So regardless of what it is, but there are like people like that, tall poppy syndrome and things like that. You're going all right, and people always bring you down and stuff like that. So I think there's always going to be that sort of internal drive to prove people wrong and that sort of stuff. But the little setbacks probably do make you hungrier. And I just know once I got drafted, like the footy club was massive at just saying it doesn't matter if you're number 1 or number 200 or whatever the draft goes to. You're there and you have a crack and see how you go, pretty much. And I was able to do that pretty much from day dot.
I know you're a big fan of basketball.
Yeah.
The Michael Jordan documentary you loved.
Yeah, I loved it.
Do you draw resemblance from that? This is really looking in depth at things, but I'm a deep thinker.
Yep.
Michael Jordan gets like cut from his like teams and draws reflections of like, if he didn't get cut from them, maybe he wouldn't have done what he's done. Do you sort of take some resemblance out of that too?
Oh, if I could be half the player he was, I'd be happy. But no, I suppose, like he is, he was a young kid and got cut, and he did just go out there and sort of say fuck you to the coach who cut him, and then comes out and is the best player ever. So I suppose there is probably that, but he's a really ruthless winner, and I don't think I've got that necessarily. But I think having those sort of setbacks and having people say no, or naysayers and doubters, it really does drive you a fair bit to get what you want out of yourself.
100%. Going draft day, So you thought maybe rookie at best. You ended up getting picked up to the Dogs. What was that like? Did you have any discussion with clubs? Was anything sort of set in stone? Anything guaranteed?
No, definitely not guaranteed. There was a few clubs. You know how it is. You have a couple of interviews, or you might not.
No, just had one.
Yeah, that makes sense. You have a couple of interviews and like some forms and stuff that you sign and like just they want to know what you're about, some surveys and that sort of jazz. But there was a lot of clubs that weren't interested at all, and I got invited to the National Combine, so that was good, and I ran a good beat test, so I think that sort of helped me out a fair bit. But yeah, the Doggies, they actually were the last ones to come and knock on the door, and I actually had a huge dog at the time, and he was pretty aggressive, and he made the selectors shit themselves when they came to the door. He jumped and barked, and you can ask our now CEO Meet Baines, but yeah, he had a fright. But yeah, I think draft day I tried to keep it pretty chilled. Yeah, I had family over. I actually went to a mate's and just had a swim and cruised around. And then had family come for the night, and we actually didn't have Foxtel, so I couldn't watch it. And we tried to stream it on my sister's laptop, but for some reason it just kept replaying the top 20. And obviously I wasn't a part of it, so I'm like, fuck this, let's turn this off. So yeah, switched it off. Got sick of seeing bloody Paddy McCartan and that. Turned it off and just had the radio going, and it just by chance sort of there was a breaking conversation at the family, and they read out like player number whatever I was, and then Caleb Daniel, South Adelaide Football Club, and like family went crazy, and I didn't know who I went to. So,
oh really?
Yeah, for probably 10, 15 minutes. So I was just stoked, and Mum's sitting there crying. I'm like, don't cry because you're going to make me cry. And Dad's just rapped, and then, just jumped on the laptop that we weren't able to bloody tune into. And we just saw that it was like pick 46.
How good's that?
Daniel, so to the Doggies, which was, blessing.
Very exciting. So that was, just to get my dates right, that was the 2014 draft.
Yep.
Was it? So your first year was 2015.
Yep.
We meet.
Yep.
Play. Fast forward, 2016, you're winning a premiership at the end of that year.
Yeah.
When you got to the Doggies, like they weren't that good.
No,
Were they?
No, we actually, they had sort of one of the worst off seasons I think of history. The captain left, Ryan Griffin, he went to GWS, and the coach Brendan McCartney, he left as well. So they did have pretty average sort of off season, and Bevo came in, and from what I've heard, it was sort of him that really pushed the selectors to have a look at me. Probably being someone who's of a shorter stature, I guess it's it's really helpful for my game and that sort of stuff to have someone who knows what it's like being a short player.
He'd be claiming that so hard now.
Oh, I don't know if he is. He's probably trying to keep that on the down low, so maybe edit that out. No.
Yeah, definitely would. Definitely.
But yeah, so they had a pretty average off season. So they weren't too flash. I think they finished 13th or 14th or something like that in 2014, and then flew through to 2015, and we came 7th, I think, and played Adelaide, and they knocked us off in an elimination final. And I came on as a sub. Then I think I played 10 games and probably 8 as a sub that year. So I was pretty glad they got rid of that.
That scenario then, so at the end of 2015, what was like set at the end of that year? Was there anything really set out? Does anything stand out to be like, this is what's going to happen next year? Or was it purely like you got back and momentum sort of shifted?
Well, we had a lot of opportunities against Adelaide to really play and win, and that was probably the year that a lot of guys thought that we were a big chance. We had Bob, we had Matty Boyd running around, we had a few old elder statesmen that were in really good nick and having really good years, and we had guys kicking goals. String, I think, Tory Dixon, they both kicked 50. So we had a really good year, and we're unfortunate we didn't make out the most of Adelaide, I guess, in the elimination final, and we actually sat down and watched the whole game on the first day back in review. So every mistake was written down. I think it was about a 4 or 5 hour meeting. So that was pretty hectic, and I think just from then on it was just more like, let's put that behind us, and we did create so many opportunities to beat the team that was really flying at the time, and So I think it was just from then on, you just really worked your ass off to play in the 2016 team, and was able to do that.
2016 was, obviously I wasn't involved with the club, but it is such a... Is it poetic? I think it is. I think that's a good word. It was pretty romantic. I think that was the word I was looking for. Romantic. Poet. That whole lead up, you had just made finals. You were 8th?
Yeah, 7th, I think.
7th.
Yeah.
You've had to, not many teams, I don't think, had ever actually won from there, maybe one. What are your memories of that first final series, I suppose? Because I remember there was a big part, I think, that really helped you was having the week off before finals. You guys had a lot of injuries going into that first West Coast final?
Yeah, we had a heap. We had a really shit month leading up to it. So I think we versed St Kilda, and Mitch Wallace broke his leg in half. Jack Redpath did his knee. I think we had 17 on the field, I think, through that. And then next week, that was a pretty sort of emotional day for everyone. You heard Mitch sort of still cowering, he's snapped his leg in half as we're walking down the race, and you can hear it, and we're going through our meeting and you can hear it in the background and things like that. And I think that sort of helped us drive it a little bit. And then I think we went to Geelong, and at Geelong on a Friday night, and Libba did his ankle. Jackson McRae tore his hammy pretty badly, and we were down to 20, 18 men, whatever it was. And then I reckon we had another game, Fremantle, we lost. We got pants, and then the week off, and Libba had surgery. Jacko was going well with his hammy, so those two guys were able to come back for that final, which was huge. And there was no sort of certainties around how they'd go, but for them to come and play was amazing. But I just remember being in the rooms at Subiaco and just sort of looking around and being like, how good's this? This is amazing. And to be honest, it sounds super strange, but I think being in a change room, sometimes you can just feel like there's no way that we're going to lose. And you just had that, which is weird, it's eerie, but you just had that confidence that you were just if we play as good as we can, there's no way that they're gonna beat us. And we came out and played really well. And from, I think, the moment that siren sounded against West Coast and we'd won, it was almost why can't we? Why can't we do that? It doesn't matter if we're 7th or 8th or whatever it is. We're a big chance.
It's huge. It's I get goosebumps even thinking about it. I've been lucky enough to be a part of a team. I wasn't playing obviously, but I was a part of a team that was going for a grand final tilt.
Yep.
Even being a part of it, as corny as it sounds, you do feel like everyone's in on it. You're in the journey. Even if you're not playing, you're so happy for the boys that are. And I suppose what I'm getting at here is, I remember with the Giants, there was a real theme of the final series, going into it. It was built around, it was actually, I can't even really think about what it was called, but it was built around this Chinese methodology. It sounds so strange.
Yeah, right.
Of it's like a vase.
Yep.
And you drop the vase and the vase breaks. But what happens is when you build the vase back up, it actually strengthens the vase. Yeah. So it's a lot more inspiring than I'm telling you. Yeah, but gotcha. I'll try and find the video of what it was. But it was really cool. And basically it was saying the same thing, we've had so many people fall down, but when we come back, it keeps bonding and we're stronger and stronger. And that was sort of the theme throughout the final series.
Yeah.
Does anything sort of stand out? Did you guys have anything like that? Or was it more just the momentum of those wins?
I think it was just, the momentum and guys, sort of some of the stuff that guys were going through to get and play. And Lin Jong snapped his collarbone in the West Coast game, and then, played the week after in a VFL premiership. Which is honestly ridiculous, and taped the wrong shoulder, and
that
really
was
fooled
the
everyone.
biggest boss move I've ever seen. So you explain that, but he broke his collarbone playing the VFL Grand Final. Yeah, and obviously team's going to try and target that, so he's taped the other shoulder. Yeah,
it's I'm actually really close with Alex Neil-Bullen, who plays for Melbourne, and I was sitting in the box and they were all running out, and he'd obviously got told to get stuck into him, and I was like, I hope he plays really well today. Hopefully we win, but I hope Nibbler goes well. And then he ran up and started whacking Jongy, and I had no idea that he'd take the wrong shoulder.
That's so good.
Yeah, and I was like, that fucking prick. And then there was an all-in sort of thing, and remonstration and stuff. And Jongy was actually acting he's like, oh, that really hurt. Wrong shoulder. And then he's taken marks. He actually won the best on ground.
But that's and that's why with that game as well, like I love Lin John and like what he's done, but imagine if he actually got the chance to then play in the granny as well. And
he put his best foot forward, and unfortunately, like, he hurt himself against West Coast and that stuff. But like,
because he did come back.
Yeah, but some of it's like amazing. So yeah, he did whatever he could. So yeah, I think it was just stuff like that. Like, he's broken his collarbone, he's come back a week later. Like Libba, like I said, had ankle surgery. He was supposed to miss 10 weeks, missed 4 or something. Jacko, like a decent hammy, like missed 2 weeks. You know, guys are playing with busted backs. Like Moz had a broken back or something like that. You know, a few guys had pop shoulders that they needed full recos on at the end of the year, and that sort of stuff sort of happens. But yeah, it still takes a bit of courage to play through.
It is a common thread, I think, of like teams that win flags. It's like using those negatives and like powering them into like a positive somehow. And like, you know, it's sort of like that us against the world mentality, I think.
Absolutely.
By the way, Kintsugi. That's what that was called.
Oh, okay.
The precious art of scars. So I'm sure you looked that up later.
Did you just Google it?
Yes. So going in, you've beat West Coast. Who was next?
Hawthorn.
After that?
GWS.
So that was the game I was talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. So that game, I feel like that game was nearly the grand final in itself.
Yeah, well, there's like that's probably added to the rivalry, but there's always been sort of, ever since I've come to the football club, there's been that, you know, GWS Western Bulldogs. It's such a, you know, everyone hates everyone and that sort of stuff. And it's not everyone hates everyone, but there is that fierce competition. I think both teams really step up to play, and it is hard, combative, and that's exactly what you want in a final series. And like Clay Smith in that game, inspirational. Like he's one of his closest friends passed away that week, and he kicked 4 and had 30, I think. And
just touching on the Giants Doggies relationship, I'm not breaking any secrets here because I think you're quite well aware of it, but there is some serious hate there. Like, it's not nothing. Well, it actually might be personal. I'm not sure, but they're really. I honestly think it's one of the best modern day rivalries in the game, because as you look at it, like there was that big final before. There was a situation I know with Bont, I think cleaning up Hainsey.
Yep.
You know, I don't think that was meant to hurt him as much as it did, but there's just been a lot of things that just keep, you know, like coming up, and it just happens. Toby Green nearly took your head off. I think he kicked Dalhouse in the face as well, accidentally. But yeah, there's just a lot of things that sort of keep happening.
Yeah, I think it just sort of sparked. I think we were both really, really young teams, and I think GWS were really young in the league as well, and they were trying to sort of establish themselves, and I think they got a couple of wins, or their first win or something against us, potentially. And obviously, you don't want to be the first team to lose to a team in history. So we probably took that a little bit personally, and then it sort of elevated when certain things happened throughout different games, and it's not just been, you know, one-off incidents and stuff like that. I think, you know, before I got there, it was Gia's last game, and a few of the GWS boys went after him, and, you know, verbals and things like that. And, you know, he's a 30-plus-year-old guy, and he's played 250 games. So, I think our club sort of felt like there was a little bit of disrespect, and there's always that heated sort of moments in there.
It's good for the game, like it really is. But I think it just doesn't, and not that it's about public people knowing this, but I think, you know, for example, Carlton, Collingwood, these Richmond, Essendon, they're historically big rivalries, but I know for a fact that this, I honestly think it's one of the biggest rivalries in the game, which I'm really excited about. And I know I'm penciled in this year for that game coming up for sure, because it's just, no matter where that team is on a ladder, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is very exciting. So you knocked that game off, which is one of the, that's been, again, I make up a lot of things, but I'm pretty sure that people have said that could be one of the best games of the modern era.
Yep.
Confirmed.
You
played a massive, you kicked the...
I didn't kick the winner.
No, not the winner, but you kicked the one to...
I think
Equal?
It was just on 3/4 time. So I'm not going to say that I won it for us, but we may have got momentum from that.
It was a huge play. It was a massive play.
We came out to, I think everyone came out to play, especially, you know, there was a lot of errors and different things like that, just purely from the heat on the footy and the contest at the time. So, and we kicked away in the last, had a couple of goals, and I think they came back and maybe came within 3 points. And I think, we got a mark like right on the siren or right, 40 seconds to go or something like that, and had a shot. And it was a very special day.
Fast forward the week later, you're in your second year playing in an AFL Grand Final. What's that like?
Amazing. I was very obviously fortunate to be able to play in it, and play a big role and be able to go there. And I suppose I had actually donuts in the first quarter, so I had 0. Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah. So fun fact there, if that ever comes into the
decoy
trivia.
running? Or?
Nah, that was
not my plan.
Running around like a headless chook, I think. So
in serious though, because sorry to cut you off there, but that was something that really affected me when I was playing. Like if I didn't have a touch in the first quarter, I'd nearly be like, "Fuck this, day's done." And I know that's a shit way to think, but especially on a grand final day, what was going through your head?
Oh mate, there was plenty. I was unfortunate. I started on the bench. Obviously in the granny, there's a lot of heat, a lot of tackles, so I didn't get on until probably the 10-minute mark, and there was a lot more rotations in those days. So I came back off on I think the 20-minute mark, and stayed off. Without having a touch. I had one knock on actually. So
I pay that to an almost.
Yeah, almost. Didn't count for the stats, so I was the one with 0 at quarter time, and to the coach's credit and stuff like that, they actually said to me like, you keep working your ass off, things will turn. Yeah. And it's not it's not all about touches and stuff like that. I know growing up as a kid, you're like, I want to have 30 in this granny and kick 5, but it is like there's a lot of selflessness that goes into playing a team sport, and that's what we all love about it. So special day, and playing Sydney, Buddy Franklin, the likes of Josh Kennedy, Luke Parker and stuff like that was super special. And just to share that moment, we had Bob who missed the granny because he did his knee, but to share that moment with Matty Boyd and Dale Morris, who have Matty Boyd's played 300 or close to, and Moz 250, and to be able to share that with them was extremely special. And guys that weren't a part of the actual team, like Gia, guys that had been stalwarts of the club for so long, without having any success with 62 years between flags. So there was plenty of them.
Yeah, man. It was for even just someone who supports footy, I remember that day. It was just like, it was huge. It was so big. Was it 56 years? I think?
Yeah, 56 years
without winning a flag. And it's funny how everyone loves the underdog until the underdog actually becomes good. Yeah. It was funny. Like I was like, I like the Dogs. This is before I was at the Giants. It's like, I like the Dogs. They're cool. And then you won. I was like, oh, fuck, I don't really like them anymore. Eh? Like pretty cocky.
We were everyone's second team for so long. Yeah. And now who knows?
Because I just do love grand finals. I actually was at the game.
Yep.
Does anything, and for anyone who's ever been to a grand final, this might sound so stupid, but when you're there actually watching it, and I was lucky enough to sort of be quite close to the ground, it really is, yes, it's loud, but you can still actually hear things going on. Like I was watching it just as a fan, pure fan. I think I'd been to Lister that year anyway, so I was literally there as a fan.
Probably on the
might have been having a few beers as well. And I was so close, and I could literally hear things like feeling like I was at a local footy game. Yep. What stands out to you? Like, is there moments? I suppose the game's always a blur, any game you play, but is there like specific moments or things someone said to you throughout the game that really stand out, and you think like, fuck, we might actually have it here? Or is there a moment you thought, might go the other way? Or
there's probably plenty of moments both ways, I think. Obviously, like that Dale Morris tackle and Tom Boyd kicking it from 70, like that's pretty special regardless. And I think he was cramping at the time and just got up and wheeled himself like Moz. Tommy Boyd, just his game that day was so special because he'd had that sort of, number one, and hasn't lived up to his reputation and all that sort of bullshit that comes with sort of media and scrutiny, I suppose, on him. To have that day on the biggest stage was super special. And I think just his game, the presence, like he's 200 centimetre giant,
big boy.
Yeah, so it's just to have that presence at centre half forward was awesome. But I think there was probably sort of a few moments that I don't know if it goes unnoticed, but like Shane Biggs is 150, forget. The 150 efforts on the wing was pretty special. And
then pick and finished.
Yeah, but I don't think he might not have even got a stat for that.
No.
So like I said, lots of selfless sort of stuff. But like that was crazy. And I think one of the boys, I was actually like, when the siren went, like we were having a shot for goal, and I was like, set up. Like, there's no, like, we don't know how long's left. And one of the boys was like, mate, there's 10 seconds left.
Oh,
and
wow.
someone had a shot, and then we were setting up, and they bringing out the kick out, and siren went. So that was pretty surreal, I suppose.
What happens after a grand final?
Heaps.
What do you do? Like, do you head back to? I think it's the next day. You head back to the club or something.
Yeah.
But like, what did you just do after that?
Oh well, that day is unbelievable. Like, you win it if you win it. I don't know about losing it.
Yeah.
Touch wood. I can't imagine experience that
as enjoyable.
Yeah, but like unbelievable. Sort of, you do your lap and you get your medal and stuff, and that's pretty special. But I think just going into the rooms where it's just your support staff, your teammates, your coaching, like everyone, and you sing the song. There's a cup there, and you're pouring beers into the cup, like. Best/worst drink I've ever had. Champagne mixed with Carlton Draft, I think.
Yeah.
So, or Crownies maybe.
Yep.
So they're never too good. But
we like bloke in a bar. Yeah, it would have been really good.
Yeah, it would have been great then. But yeah, so that, and we probably sat in the room for sort of 2 hours, just still in our clothes, like game kit, and and then you go out and do like a little parade thing, and there's people singing and that sort of stuff, and. Yeah, say good day to the fans. Then you have to go to Crown and have a dinner and stuff like that, get presented, and then the rest of the night's a bit of a blur. And then the next morning you're at the footy club, and it was amazing because there was probably 30,000 or something at our home ground at Whitten Oval. So name gets called out, and you sort of walk out, and you're on sort of a podium for the fans, and they're going crazy and. Yeah, unbelievable. And then we just went to a local pub that sort of sponsors us, and that was a pretty special day. All like the old players and your family and support staff and stuff like that. So that was awesome. And being able, like you said, it was my second year playing. So not to say that it didn't mean as much to me, because it meant the world to me. But there's guys like, I just remember giving my medal to Gia. Just so he could wear it, and he's like, nah, and then sort of he's tearing up, and it's like making me sort of emotional. And then like Lindsay Gilby's there, and different guys that have played 300 games for the club. That it was just special to see them have the enjoyment for it.
That's unreal, man. Yeah. No, I can only imagine what that feeling would be like. But yeah, there's nothing but I think just like jealousy of that, And I think once you have one, you just want another. Yeah,
it is. It's hugely like that. And unfortunately for us, like we just haven't been able to string it all together at one time. Hopefully,
we're 2021.
Going for it.
I'm feeling it. Fast forward, I suppose, what's transpired since then. Been playing some awesome footy. Mate, all Australian. BNF winner. I'm not surprised. Are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a huge surprise, and obviously pretty humbling just to be recognised as sort of one of the elite players of the competition, but especially sort of in a new role that is sort of foreign to myself, and just being able to pick that up sort of as quickly as I have been able to has been really special, and it would make it even more special, just team success and that sort of stuff.
I suppose I love talking about mentality and like going into games thinking about things. Like, is there something that you do that you can share with us that you think makes you a good player?
Mentally?
Yeah. Like, is it just like momentum, or like, like as we said earlier, like you're not blessed with height or like a massive leap or anything. Like, you realistically, like, you're a small player, you've got an elite foot skills, but that's not a talent, that's hard work.
Yeah.
Is it just your mindset of just being, as we said earlier, like that never give up attitude? Is it something you've picked up along the way that someone's given you advice on, or is there anything sort of stand out?
I suppose it's probably, knowing that you've done the work, like never leave anything to chance, I suppose, and knowing you go out, you do the pre-season work, you don't miss a session, you don't, miss anything, you know that you've done it, and you know that that's going to hold you in good stead regardless. And I think it's probably being just free, like being a free-spirited guy, and whether that be playing footy and trying to hit a kick that, probably isn't there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get fucking towed on, but that's footy, and like that's what we all play it for, just to go out there and enjoy yourself, I suppose. So being able to do that and sort of being present at the time, like, if you miss a kick and it results in a goal the other way, like, who really cares?
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna come up in your review, but if you move on to the next one and do something good with the next possession or next thing that you do, it's forgotten pretty quickly. So
I love that, man, because I think for me, like, I always joke about this, like hitting the 45 and shit, but it honestly did give me nightmares.
Yeah.
Because like I was so paranoid about it, and I thought, well, if I fuck this, then I will never get a game again. Whereas I speak to someone like yourself and someone like Sam Doherty, for example, who he's so strong in his mind he knows he's good, he knows he's a good kick, and even if a coach sprays him, because I asked him about this one day, I was like, how do you just keep moving on? He goes, man, at the end of the day, like, I know that I can hit this, I know I'm a good player, so like, why the fuck would I listen to a coach?
Yeah, well, it is almost like that, but Bevo, like, it's not like that.
Yeah, I know, but it is, isn't it? Like, you have to just back, you have to just know, like, this is what makes me good. Even if I get sprayed for it, I'm in the team to do this.
Yeah, and there's like, we have a big philosophy at the footy club. It's like, what now? Like, regardless, you know, you've done something awesome. You've kicked a banana from the pocket on your left.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, giving a high five to the supporters over the shoulder. But like, what's now? Like, what's next? You know, you could do something awesome, or you could do something shit house. It's, you know, what's actually going to happen to bring your team to being really good. So I suppose that's been instilled from the footy club, and we got a really great coaching staff that is like, you know, you play to your strengths. Like, if it is, you know, take the game on, JJ, take the game on when you run. If you get run down, like, oh well, we'll wear it, sort of thing. If you miss a kick, we'll wear it. And I think that's a great mentality to have for anyone. Yeah,
man, I think it's a great mentality to have. Like, not, you know, I know there's a lot of people that have been traumatized by, like, you know, coaching, getting over coaching and these sort of things. But even when I got to the Giants as well, Leon was quite the same. Like, and don't get me wrong, if you don't have the skills, he's not going to tell you to wheel into the corridor and hit a 45.
Oh, absolutely.
But like, guys like yourself, Lockie Whitfield, you know, I just sit back sometimes and be like, oh my God, like, how did you just do it? He's just like wheels from half back on his left, and we'll just put it in the middle of the ground.
Yeah, he'd be up there with the best kick in the comp.
Yeah, and I was just like, wow, that's like, it's pretty cool. And I think looking back now, I just wish, and to anyone listening out there, I think it's just a massive thing to be like, just fucking back yourself in.
That's it. Like, just, like, know that you're here for a reason. Like, you're playing the game, or you're doing it for a reason. So, you know, like you said, if you don't have the skills, like, there's probably not too many ruckmen who are going to back themselves to hit a 45 metre 45 into the corridor, but
probably don't do it.
I'm probably not backing myself to take a hanger on or a big pack mark, so I probably don't go for them. But yeah, like, you're in there to do what you're good at and what you got drafted for, so just back yourself.
I like it. I really like it. Fast forward now, man, the Doggies, Western Bulldogs. I really like the Western Bulldogs because I feel like it's just a really cool bunch of guys, like, real swaggy. You know, just like young guys, quite hip.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of tattoos.
Couple.
Cool style.
Yeah.
What's it like being at the Doggies?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like I said, we're a really young group, so it is, like, it's pretty special to be around. I suppose, like, I'm 24 and, like, I'm in the oldest sort of echelon of players, so that's kind of strange for me personally. But lots of style and just energy. Like, everyone brings their own sort of personality and energy to the club, which is awesome because if you have a mix of personalities and different people, it's just such a good environment to be around.
That's awesome. What would you say your style is? Like, I love your style, and that's actually probably another thing that we were chatting about earlier in our friendship. Now we're like really good friends. Early days we were enemies, acquaintances, and now we're really good friends. But in that acquaintance to friendship model, we'd talk a lot about shoes.
Yes,
and both massive sneaker freakers, would you say? What do you like to buy? What's your style? How do you get it? Is there someone that, like, you really base your clothing off, or is it like that NBA sort of theme? Like,
I don't know. It's probably bits and pieces of both, I suppose. There's a lot of guys at the footy club that are big sneakerheads.
Who's the sneaker man?
Well, probably Paddy Lipinski, Tim English. Tim English has...
Tim English, big Tim.
Yeah, he's got really high-end fashion.
Wow.
Yeah, like Amy Leon Dore and...
Wow.
Yeah, so he really splurges as well. So get stuck into him if you want any sort of... Yeah. Like,
so he
websites.
he actually goes more the the fine dining.
Yeah, he's a real fine diner, and so he goes pretty hard, and he loves his sneakers, and as well as just sort of clothes. Paddy Lipinski, Joshy Dunkley's starting to come through with a few nice little dunks.
Wow. The Tim English one's really
it's jumped out.
My ears up. I just wouldn't have picked him to be.
I think he's trying to roll a new pair of sneakers every game this year. So we should have a little Bleachers Report kicks on his feet, and also Paddy Lipinski's.
He's a very handsome guy.
Yeah, he's
weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, with the sneaker stuff, I just want to break this down a little bit because I talk about it a bit on the show. With to give people context who don't get shoes and like they don't understand the hype around it, I suppose. I love buying shoes, right? But they're very hard to get. So as you'd know, they do limited releases. You're trying to get these shoes without a hookup.
Yeah,
they're quite hard to get. So I actually go on Facebook Marketplace a lot of the time and buy my shoes off, people selling them,
some randoms,
resale or like second hand or whatever. I'm a bit of a shoe dealer.
Yep.
How do you get yours?
Yeah, I'll buy them.
You go on like Grailed or something like that?
Or like you just enter the raffles and stuff.
You get the raffles,
I've been lucky. I've won a couple. I've lost more than I've won, obviously, but you always take the L's. But there's guys like at the footy club. I've signed with Nike, so I'm pretty lucky. They set me up with a pair of SB Habibis, so they retail for a little bit. But I can't bring myself to on-sell shoes.
Oh, you don't want to sell? You can't get rid of them?
Nah. So if I'm getting them, I'm wearing them.
I'm the same. I can't keep them clean.
Nah.
You got to wear them for sure. But I'll still, I'm quite. I don't have a very high budget for a lot of things, so I do I'll be quite big on trading things. I'll get secondhand stuff and I trade it for other sneakers.
That's a good way to be.
Yeah, I'm quite nifty in that
savvy,
aspect. So savvy, that was what I was looking for.
Yeah.
What's in the collection at the moment? How many do you reckon you have? What's on the target? Are you sticking to Nike now that you're a Nike man?
Yeah, I'll stick to Nikes. I think they bring the shoes that I like the most. Like there's the Yeezys and stuff, and I'm not huge on them. I don't mind the 700s and stuff like that. But more a Nike. But it's sort of a little bit unfortunate that I'm sort of such a small man that I can't quite wear Jordans and things like that, because I'd love to, but they just make me look ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm a bit
clown.
The same, so you can only wear them if you're over 200 centimeters.
100%. So, but at the moment I've just got. I was lucky actually. Paddy Lipinski, he won a raffle for these waffle Sakai's, these all white ones. So he won them, and I just sort of said, I was looking for him. He won 3. He had 2 mates enter for him. Yeah, so him and 2 mates won, and so I was like, oh, do you mind if I buy them off you? And I was like, you can sell them for retail, I don't mind, but and he was like, nah mate, I paid him $250 and he gave them to me.
Well, that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realise with sneakers is if you win these raffles and you buy shoes for $250, you can nearly on sell them for double the price.
Well, that's the thing,
it's an investment.
At the time it was, I think they were selling for 800 Australian.
Wow.
800 Australian, so not the most expensive, but still a decent amount of coin. But he was nice enough to give them to me for $250.
No,
so
we love Pat. We love Pat. Yeah, I'd liked him before. I like him even more now. Mate, Caleb Daniel outside footy. What are you getting up to? What's plans? Have you got anything in the works? Are you doing anything outside of footy? Have you got thought about that process?
I thought about it a fair bit when I was a little bit younger, I suppose, and I dabbled in some stuff that the AFLPA do, and AFL Sports Ready. They do a business sort of program that sort of leads you into doing university and knocks off a couple of years of uni. So I did that for business, and I probably did 2 semesters at uni and hated it.
It's tough, man.
Yeah, so, and it was just sort of mindless stuff and that sort of stuff. I felt like kids that were 10 to 12 would be able to do some of the assignments.
I totally agree with that, because they could, but then I still couldn't, if you know what I mean. It's so easy, but it's I feel like university is obvious things, but putting a name to obvious things.
Yeah, well, that's, and the referencing and stuff, I'm like,
I never quite understood the referencing, I'll be honest. I never knew how to get them like small.
One of our assignments was literally like choose any store and tell us like what it would smell like, what music would play, what lighting would happen. Like it was consumer management or something like that. And I'm like, I chose a candle store. I'm like, it's not going to smell like shit.
Yeah, it smelled good.
It's going to smell pretty good.
I get headaches.
I'm not going to have techno music playing, like, or heavy metal. I'm going to have some, you know, ambient sort of chilled stuff. The lighting's going to be nice and dim, like, but you had to reference who sort of came up with that. And I'm like, me, when I was 6 years old and walked into a candle store, like it wasn't, you know, that's the theory behind it. So that sort of frustrated me, and that was probably the last straw. So
no, I can understand the breakup with that. It is strange, but I do have massive admiration for people that can really sit out degrees, especially while they're working or playing footy, because it is a really monotonous. Anyway, it's whatever that is, process. But yeah, it's exciting. I think we were chatting off air before about this whole like footy versus study thing. Sometimes, like, to be at the best you can be, you actually have to just channel all your energy into one thing.
Yeah, and I think that it works opposite ways for some people as well, that they need to have the time away and get away fully from it. Yeah, and just not have to think about it. So I think that was probably one of the challenges in the hub last year, that, you know, you were seeing the same people, same 45 teammates every day. You know, it could be 10 p.m, you're going down and getting your laundry and then walking back and seeing your coach or a teammate, and sometimes you're just like,
I don't want to see you anymore.
Yeah, I'm done. Like, I'm over it. So I think, it works both ways. Some people really, really need the full energy into it, and some people need half their energy in something else, and that gets the best out of them. So it's up to each other. Definitely,
man. Definitely agree with that. This year, a little bit of a Bulldogs watch. I just want to talk about a tidbit. So I actually genuinely think it's going to be a very big year for the Dogs. Can you give us a couple young guys that we might see featuring throughout the year that are coming in, or a red hot insider trading tip?
There's obviously a lot of young talent like Baz Lenker, which
pretty good.
Everyone knows about, and he's been pretty good for 2 years. But I think he's going to take his game a whole nother level, and he's doing stuff, you know, inside and outside, that it's pretty special. Paddy Lipinski, which we've talked, you know, about his fashion, but his footy is pretty handy as well. Jamari Ugle-Hagan, you know, like, you can't rush a full forward to come and expect him to kick bags of 5 and stuff like that, but he's been really impressive in his work rate and different things like that. And I think another kid, Lockie McNeil, who played his first game, he just shows some real excitement, and he provides us with a lot of pace. But we're also really happy with Anthony Scott. He's a 25-year-old bloke who's gone through, you know, VAFA and then VFL, and now he's playing AFL, and he's come in, and, you know, he's got a really wise head on his shoulders, and works his ass off for everyone.
Anthony Scott, now I am 99% sure this is true, but is he from Trinity?
Yes.
So Anthony Scott actually came up and played a game with the Bulldogs-Giants as a top-up player.
Really?
And from the reports, like, they were like, oh, we're looking at this guy, Anthony Scott.
Yeah.
Because Tony Scott, he's mates with Adam Tomlinson.
Yeah.
So he was like coming up and playing with the Giants, and I was like, oh wow, this is cool. So this would have been 3 years ago. He played with the Giants, had a few games there. Played pretty well, and then ended up going back to Melbourne. I think the next year he did some work with Richmond.
Yeah, I think he played in their VFL team.
Played with their VFL team.
Yep.
And nearly got taken to Richmond there. And now his third go, he's played with the Dogs and got taken. Like, it's pretty special. I love those stories.
Yeah, he went, he's done it all by the sounds of things, and that's pretty special. I didn't know he played NEFL and different things like that.
That's true. Yeah, I'm 99% sure that's true.
Yeah, and he came up, you know, sort of the hard way. We talk about like us getting drafted at 18, and he's 25, and, you know, doing his dream now. So it's pretty special, and to like play at VFL clubs until you're 25, like, I don't know if I'd be able to hack that. I'd probably try and play local or something like that, get a little bit of cash. But I'd credit to him, and he's actually really stamped like his authority and how he wants to be perceived already on the group. And he's only been with us he's been training with us, but he's only been fully selected for like a month or so.
Yeah, that's huge. I really, really respect those guys, because I don't think that I could have done that. You know, like, being said no to for that long. That's only 7 years of funding 18. It's like, fuck, it's a long time.
Yeah.
But all credit to him. He's, you know, I'm yeah, absolute rap for him. And from all reports, absolute awesome dude, even though I have met him before.
Yeah.
Mate, what's next for you? What's your life looking like? Do you plan goals? Have you got any like short term for this year versus long term? What do you do? Do you sit down and write in your diary?
Yeah, I actually really struggle with goal setting. It's something that I've never been good at, besides obviously being like young and being like, I want to play footy.
Yeah.
Like that's every kid's dream when they're, playing footy. And but yeah, I'm pretty average at goal setting, so haven't really set too many out. And personally, probably just to buy a house and establish myself in Victoria. I'm from Adelaide originally, so to be able to do that and be stable enough there. And then I'm not massive, and probably in a football sense, just becoming more of that older head and helping young kids and being that leader, I suppose, within our group, whether it be on field with the roles and responsibilities and stuff, or off field and enjoying each other's company and different things like that. So yeah, I'm not huge on goal setting, but I would like to actually be able to do it.
Maybe a goal to get better at goal setting.
That's actually come up a few times. Keep putting it away.
I never really did goals like when I was playing, and that probably showed a lot. But I think post now, like I love thinking about shit. Like I have so many fucking goals that like I get them mixed up. So like I've had to like put a list of like short-term goals, medium-term goals, long-term goals. So like what's happening in the next few weeks, what's happening in the next year, then like the 10-year goal. And I found it being so beneficial. I wish I did it when I was playing, but look, I'm not going to tell you how to do things because you're obviously doing things quite well as it is, mate. But yeah, honestly, thank you so much for your time today, bro. I really appreciate it. As I said, massive fan of your work, not only as you as a player, but I respect the grind, I respect the hustle, the way you go about it. So excited for this year, for you personally and the Dogs, and yeah, just absolutely blessed to sit down and hear your story.
I love coming in. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers.
This episode of Dylan Friends is brought to you by Jim Beam. The Jim Beam Backyard Competition is now live, giving you your chance to win a bespoke, fully stocked Jim Beam Backyard Bar. So your house is a place where friends are always welcome. The Jim Beam Backyard is valued at over $20,000, including Bluetooth speakers and a mini fridge within the bar, plus Jim Beam product, bar stools and more. Entry is simple. Head to www.jimbeampromotions.com.au/backyard bar. And in 25 words or less, let Jim Beam know why you should be the winner of the Jim Beam Backyard Bar. No backyard? No worries. Bring the mates together with Jim Beam and your very own balcony bar prize valued at $585 thanks to Bondi Bar. So you can host an epic balcony bash with this next level minor prize. That's not all, because Jim Beam is also giving 100 runners-up the Ultimate Jim Beam Pack valued at $330 each, with everything you need for the ultimate home bar experience. Whether it's in your living room, your balcony, or your backyard, with Jim Beam, you're always welcome. So head to www.jimbeampromotions.com.au/backyard bar to enter, and the link will also be in the show notes.